Okay, welcome back to the second part of our volume. We just finished up doing volume of a prism, and you should have watched the videos about how a pyramid relates to a cube and how a cone relates to a cylinder to get those volume formulas. But the formulas are right up here. Again, they're the same for both the cone and the pyramid. Again, we are seeing that big B there that stands for the area of the base. So you need to make sure you're paying attention. Is it a circle, a rectangle, a triangle for the base? And this was just the relationship that you should have noticed from the video, that it takes 3 pyramids to fill up a cube with the same dimensions, and it takes 3 cones to fill up. That's why we are dividing it by 3. Since it takes 3 of them to fill up one, it's 1/3 of the original. So we're going to start with the same thing. We want to name the shape, and they are named by their bases, except a cone is a cone, and that's pretty much it. So just remembering that a pyramid has got a base, and as long as it's not a circle, we've got the flat edges, congruent faces, and they meet up at one point. So here, since the base, okay, just going to highlight the base in orange, is a rectangle. And we can confirm that it's a rectangle because we see that we have 6 by 10. So that's obviously not a square. So we have a rectangular pyramid. All right, and again, it's the base is a rectangle. And we want to pay attention to the height. So remember, once we've identified the base, you want to look for that perpendicular height. And I'm going to go ahead and do that in blue. So my height is right here. Okay. Remember, you stand up straight and tall when you get measured at the doctor, so none of these leaning lines. That's not how you would find the height. The height is from the tallest point to the bottommost point. So in this case, it's 6. And the units are miles. All right, so we're going to start off with the formula and fill in the numbers that we know. Okay, so we're going to start off with volume equals the area of the base times height divided by 3. All right, so again, the area of the base, right, is we're taking the area of a rectangle. So the area of our rectangle is 6 times 10, or 60. So I'm going to plug that in. I get 60 for the area of the base. My height is 6, and I'm going to divide all of that by 3. Now you can do this in any order. You can multiply first and then divide. Divide this one and then multiply. Divide this one and then multiply. Just make sure you don't do a double division. So I'm going to go ahead and do what's on top first. Okay. And 360 divided by 3, I get 120. So my volume is 120, and my units are miles. And remember, it's cubic units because it's 3-dimensional. We have 3 dimensions, so it's a cubic unit. Okay, so that's for a pyramid. So we got the pyramid. Again, identify the base so that way you know how to find the area, multiply by the height, and then divide by 3. We're going to do the same exact thing for our cone. Cones are just cones. There's no special names for them. They all follow the same format. They have a circle. Again, let's identify the base. Okay, so there's the circle base. Let's take a look at the height. It's right here. And notice we see this other number right here. That's something telling for our circle. That's important for us to know. That's our radius. Okay, so the shape of the base is a circle. The height is 8 inches. So start off with our formula. Volume equals the area of the base times height divided by 3. Okay, well again, I'm going to do the area of a circle because that's what this big B stands for. Area of a circle is pi r squared. Alrighty, so my radius is 4, and instead of pi, I'm going to put 3.14 times 4 squared. So 3.14, 4 squared is 16. Then we take our calculator, And 16 times 3.14, we get 50.24. So that's the area of our base. So now I can use that to plug into here. So I get 50.24. And the height is 8. And then I divide all that by 3. So again, now I can use my calculator. I've already got my plan set up, and I like to show step by step. So I'm going to do 50.24 times 8. Is that right? Yep, that's the height. So I get 401.92, and then I'm going to divide by 3. So I'm going to get there. So divide that answer by 3. And I get 133. It doesn't tell me where to round, so I'm going to round to the hundredths because that's usually a safe place to round. And that kind of works out because I get 133.973 repeating. So I'll write that, I'll record it down, but then for my final answer to show how I got it, I will show the rounding that happened. So I'll leave that as my final answer there. And inches cubed. All right, so again, all you are doing is you are starting with the formula, and you also might hear me talk about it in class as volume equals 1/3 area of the base times height. Okay, so you could see it that way, and then if we take a look at the formula sheet that you will get for milestones, when we're taking a look at the volume, okay, we can see here for a prism, which is what we did the last video, it's the area of the base times the height. So it depended on what kind of prism it was. If it was a triangular prism, a rectangular prism. Then we have cylinder. Okay, it's the same thing, area of the base. So what's the area of the base? It's pi r squared times the height. All right, and then cone is right here, 1/3. Why is it pi r squared? Because, well, the area of the base is a circle. So it's still area of the base times the height. Now, I'm assuming that maybe we'll have a more recent where I can see on here that the pyramid's not involved on here, so we'll either write that in for you on the test, and hopefully they'll have it for you on the new milestones test, but they'll have it written out. So just because you don't see the big B there doesn't mean we're not still doing the same thing. This pi r squared, that represents the area of the base of a circle, so it's still the same thing. Okay, in the cone, pi r squared, that's the base. It was the base of the circle. Base times height, and then it was divided by 3, or multiplied by 1/3. Those all mean the same thing. So I don't want you to think that when you look at this, we're like, oh, these formulas that you're talking about, Ms. Pariseau, are not here. They are. They just look a little bit different, but they're still the same approach. Okay, so I'm going to ask that you pause the video and try this one on your own, and when you think you've got it, go ahead and follow along to see if you're right. All right, so I started this off for you to see if you're on the right track. You should have noticed that the base was a triangle, so it's a triangular pyramid. The shape of the base is a triangle. The height of the pyramid is 10. Remember, going straight up and down to the topmost to the base, looking for that 90-degree angle. Now, because the shape of the base is a triangle, you also need, you have another base and height that you have to look for. So it's the base and height of the base. And that can sound a little bit confusing. But again, remember, you're looking for that 90-degree angle that's created. So looking for that little box. So this happens to be a right triangle here. So I went ahead and labeled these pieces, and I outlined them in green. That this is the base and height of my triangle, the triangular base. Because they form, those two lines are the two lines that form the 90-degree angle. All right, the 10 is not part of it because notice this angle here and this angle here, those are not 90 degrees. You want to, again, look for the two lines that form a 90-degree angle in your base. So that's where I got 1/2, my base 6, my height of the triangle is 8, and I got my area is to be 24. So now I have my area of my base is 24, the height of my pyramid is 10, and I'm going to divide all that by 3. So I get 240 divided by 3. So my volume is 80. My units are kilometers cubed. All right. So now you've seen an example of the different types of pyramids. Okay, Okay, you could have a square pyramid, but it's still the same thing. It's base length times width, base times height, whatever for the base. Circle, just follow the circle formula. Okay, triangle, make sure you're paying attention to what is the base and the height. So go ahead and pause the video and try the other 3 examples on your own. Make sure you're paying very close attention to the parts. What's the radius? Were you given a diameter instead of the radius? What's the shape of your base? Making sure you're following those rules. When you think you're all set, come back on and check in. All right, so here's example D. You should have seen that as a cone. Again, before I even start, I take a look at my diagram. I colored in the base. I noticed that that diameter was given to me, so I wrote right underneath that the radius was equal to 2. So now I've got all my information labeled, so when I'm filling this out, I can work my way through. The pi r squared, so it's 2 squared. That was the area of the circle. I plugged that in. The height of my cone was 6, and dividing by 3, so that leads me to the answer 25 12/100 meters cubed. For letter E, it was a square pyramid because all the sides were the same, 10 by 10. So you could have done base times height, you could have done side squared, whatever, it's the same thing. 10 times 10 is 100. Now, something about here, you did have to put the repeating sign, or if you knew that it was 333, remember this decimal, 0.3 repeating is really just 1/3 feet cubed. So 0.3 repeating is really just means 1/3 as a fraction. Same thing, so we had our area of the base, my height. Kind of helps me eliminate any wrong answers. Can't plug in a wrong number here because they're all 10s, which makes it kind of nice. Can't go wrong there. All right, and then our last one, letter F, was a cone. Same thing, we had 10 and 10, but notice it's saying from here to here. They give you the full line, so that means it's telling you the diameter is 10. So again, I wrote right underneath it that the radius was 5. That helped me plug in this to find the area. Sorry about that. Okay, to find the area of the circle, plug that in, times the height, divided, and then the same thing here, 0.6 repeating. Okay, the reason your calculator puts a 7 at the end is because it's rounding, right? It's really the 6 is going on and on forever, but the calculator naturally rounds if it's a repeating decimal. So this is also, if you remember this one, if 0.3 repeating is 1/3, 0.6 repeating is 2/3. So you could have written it that way as well. Okay. Let me know if you have any questions about any of this material.